Alright, hey everybody, so this is Cody, CEO of Northway, one of them. I would like to take a little bit of time today to show you guys how to make this logo. Everything here that you see is a free font that I have found or free textures that I have found, and I put them together on this little board. A little bit of a hipster design. Just thought it'd be cool to show you guys how to make these little icons. This little flame icon is what we're going to be focused on today, and it's going to be using the tools in the Pathfinder panel and also the tools in your toolbar, such as the shape builder tool, the selection tool, and the ellipse tool. So let's go ahead and get into it. Open up a blank panel. About 8x8 is what I like to use for a workspace. I know a lot of people choose different things. You could even realistically go down to a 2x2 and just zoom in really far. But I like it a little bit more workspace, and I like to be able to zoom out and look at my entire canvas. So I'm going to do it this way. So you want to go ahead and grab your ellipse tool using L, or you can go ahead and click on it in your toolbar. Sometimes it'll be actually stuck as the rectangle tool, and you have to click and hold to get to your ellipse tool. So L a lot of times is a lot faster. Starting off, we're just going to hold down Shift, and then we're going to click and drag to make a basic shape. And we want this to only be the stroke, not the shape, or not a fill, rather. So let's go ahead and do that. And now you can see you have your little bit of a stroke. So let's zoom in on that a little bit. And this is where things kind of get confusing. I highly recommend that you have a drawing of what you're trying to achieve, and you can upload it to your computer and then lay it over inside Illustrator, turn the opacity down and lock it. That way you can kind of go over your design that you already have. But since I've already done this a couple times, I'm just going to go ahead and do it raw. You want to go ahead with your selection tool, grab your circle, hold down the Alt key, and then click and drag. And now you've duplicated your shape. Super simple, actually. And what we're trying to achieve here is within these shapes, we want to focus on the space that they are overlapping. So you can see here that if I was to use the shape builder tool or the Pathfinder tool, I could get 2 crescent moons and then some weird pointy half circle thing in the center. That's kind of the concept that we're going with on this. So I'm going to grab my top shape now and kind of bring it down so that I can have this little sharp angle right there. And then I'm going to do the same thing, use the Alt key, bring it over, and then I'm going to bring this shape down a little bit just so I can get this sharp space here. And if you were to use the shape builder tool on it, you can see that I'm trying to get this area right here. Alright, now let's get back into it. I'm going to hold the space bar to move my canvas, and then I'm going to click and drag this up as well to get the top of my flame. And this is where another little handy trick comes in. So, oh, that's actually the wrong one, sorry. There we go. Alright, so you need this to be exact if you're going to be starting to use the shape builder tool. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this. You can see that when I have these highlighted, that it's actually not completely overlapped. But if I don't have it highlighted, it looks like it is because that's the way the stroke is working. So if you have these highlighted or not highlighted, you just have to hold down. Sorry, I can't talk. Hold down Control and then press Y. And this will bring you into outline mode in Illustrator. And in this mode, you can go ahead and see that it's just that little blue line that you had shown before. And this makes things extremely helpful to get things precise. Because if this isn't precise and we go to use the shape builder tool, it won't want to connect these spaces together. So go to View and make sure that you have all of these unchecked. Because if they're checked, it's going to make this part a lot more difficult, and they're going to want to snap to each other in different ways that you're not ready for and that you don't want them to, and it's just going to be a mess and a pain in the butt. So make sure that your snap to grid, snap to pixel, and snap to point are all off. And now you can just click and drag this shape so that it perfectly aligns with that other circle. And now you can see it comes with a very nice smooth curvature to it. I'll zoom back out a little bit more. And let's do this again. When I do this, I just keep it in outline mode because it's a lot easier to look at instead of having to switch back and forth all the time to make sure things are accurate. And the stroke throws me off on the balance of everything. So I like to just keep it in outline mode. let's go ahead and keep going with what we were doing. Alright, so now you can see we have a little bit of that peak flame there. And then drag another one. We want this one to go this way. Zoom in, and see, this one wasn't perfect either. So it's really important that you keep zooming in to check on it. And now it's perfect. Here we go. And then now we have to do the right side of the flame. Let's do it way down here. How about? I'm going to make this circle a little bit bigger just to make that negative space a little harsher. And then we'll drag another one just to do this. Let's make this one smaller actually, because I don't want this right side flame to be overpowering the top part of the flame. A little smaller yet. And now actually I have to make sure that this is perfectly aligning to two separate sides, two separate circles. So it needs to be perfectly centered here and perfectly aligned there as well. So to do that, you're going to drag this over a little bit, zoom back in on it, and that's actually pretty close. Perfect. Now I'm holding my space bar to move myself down to this portion, and you can see that this one's not going to align perfectly. Let's zoom back out a little bit, and let's just shrink this down. Alright. Oh, it's very stubborn. Do that. And make this a little bit bigger this way. Alright. Now it's not going to be perfect, but for demonstration purposes, that's going to be alright. Actually, I don't like that. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and just redo this part. For demonstration purposes, like I said, I'll just make this fast. That's fine. There we go. Now everything is perfectly aligned. You have this outline of your shape. You want to go ahead and highlight all of it. So I could go directly into my shape builder tool now and start building this shape out. But the thing is that if I mess up or something isn't right, I have to sit here and do undo and undo and undo until I get back to this original state. So to save myself some time in the future, I'm going to highlight all these shapes. Excuse me. And I'm going to click or hold down Alt and copy the entire thing. Bring it to the side. Now if I make any mistakes on this, I can just go back to this other copy of it and make any adjustments that I need to. But since we're professionals, we didn't make any mistakes, I'm sure. Positive. Alright, and now that everything's highlighted again, you can use your shape builder tool and just start filling this in. The important thing is to remember that you're only filling in these spaces where they cross to make your shape. And I believe that's all of it, so I'm going to go ahead and let go. And you have your shape in the middle now. What's nice about this is that the shape builder tool will put this little pattern over whatever is combined right now, and so I can see that this shape is one whole shape. And now we can just click out of it, zoom out, grab our flame, pull it out of that shape cluster, and just delete our scraps. And pull this over, and we'll do Control Y to exit our outline mode, and we have our shape. So let's go ahead and swap the stroke and fill, and we have a little bit of a flame. And like I said, it's not perfect because this side I would have worked a little bit more on. Like you can see, I did quite a bit on that side. But for demonstration purposes, going a little bit faster than usual. So, since we didn't make any mistakes, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of... no, let's keep it. I'll show you something pretty soon here. So, I'm going to use my eyedropper tool, and let's just make this gold for now. To get this little inverted flame here, all I did was copy by holding Alt, copy and drag this other, or the flame itself, so that I have two of them, and then change the color to white, and then I will shrink the flame. I will do object, transform, reflect, just over the vertical axis, so it goes the opposite direction, and I'll just put that right in there. Let's do a little bit bigger than that. And then you can do a little bit of rotation just to get a little bit of angle in there, make it feel a little bit more alive. And now you can kind of see what it looks like when you use your Pathfinder tool coming up here. Highlight both of them, open up your Pathfinder tool, and use -front. And now you can see that it's actually just outlined this inside and gotten rid of anything that was behind it. Super cool. And we're going to go ahead and use these outlines now to show you a cool way that I like to present my logos to show people the work that I've done. I will do Control-G to group those together, and then I will change the type of line that I used. If you go up here, it says basic line, but I'm going to go to my library, use borders, and use a dash border. Just this first one will do just fine. And exit out of that. And now you can kind of see what this looks like. I'm going to go ahead and reduce the opacity on that to about 64. Grab this shape, overlay it where I created it, and then change the opacity on this as well. Maybe make this one about 75. Alright, and now you can kind of see how it was built. And I like to do this a lot for clients and things like that because it just shows the kind of process and work that was put into it, and it makes it look a little bit more complex than just a simple icon. So yeah, that's one thing I like to do for my clients. Let's get rid of this for now. Bring this back to full opacity. And let's bring in this color. A lot of these color schemes that I get, I've made a few myself, but a lot of times it's a lot easier and less time consuming to just go ahead, go online and look up whatever color scheme you're looking for. So if you want like a more natural earth tone color scheme, that's kind of where I got these colors from. And it'll just give you a broad variety of different colors that go well together. Let's increase the size of our flame, bring it into the center. I like to lock my background layers because otherwise you accidentally select them all the time, and now you can see I can't grab it and I can only grab my center image. So let's go ahead and grab one of our textures from this texture we downloaded. I'm going to go ahead and use this far left one on the bottom. Bring it over, and if I just lay it over the top of my flame and then click off of it, you can kind of see what kind of texture it's going to give to it. But I don't want it to be such an intense texture on there either. So let's see what that looks like. That looks pretty good. So grab your texture, hold down Shift, click on your item itself, and then do -front again. And now you can see, after it takes a little bit sometimes. Oh, there we go. That it just poked a bunch of holes inside of our flame, and now there's a cool little texture on there. And no matter what size I make this, that texture will remain equal to the rest of it as well. I can make it wider. That's ugly. I can make it shorter. That's actually not bad. Yeah, so you get what I'm saying? Alright. And now for font. The font I used for this is called Sweet Sorrow. And let's make it about 36. And let's just say Flame Logo, because we're super duper creative. Alright, and I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. To achieve the artistic style that I used a little bit of a line that goes underneath it. That's going to be too close. So let's make that about a 3 and drag it down. And let's center these all together. And underneath it, I used what is called, let's see, actually, what did I use? Yep, okay. So I used a font called Bebesnu, I believe is how you pronounce it. Not 100% positive. And then let's just say logo tutorial. And I like to make this one a little bit different color than the rest of it, just so it adds a little bit of contrast. Stretch it out. That's too big. Let's just make it smaller. Let's say about 24. And then we will go to our character panel and change the tracking. And we'll have to make this our own. So let's just say 400. And let's center it all together again. Perfect. All right. I mean, that looks pretty cool, huh? And you made it yourself. So let's go ahead and grab another ellipses and just surround the whole thing with that circle. Up the stroke to about 6 is a good outline stroke for this. And let's center it again. Make this a little bit skinnier and smaller. Group these together with Control G. And then we will, oops, I accidentally grouped the circle in there with it. That's really frustrating. 1 second here. Ungroup. It wants to fight me. Alright, just group those pieces. That's what I wanted. And center it in a circle like that. Alright, now you can see that we have our logo. Pretty cool, huh? Not too bad. Pretty simple. And like I said, this becomes a lot easier if you draw out what you're trying to achieve first, and then bring that image into Illustrator, lower the opacity and lock it, and then just do your design over the top of it. If you have any questions on this method, feel free to ask me. I have quite a few logos that I've built using this. I'm pretty used to it, pretty experienced with it. Wouldn't say professional, but semi-professional. I can teach you a few of the shortcuts and things like that. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me in class or outside of class, and I'll do what I can to help you out. So thank you very much for your time and for learning something new today. All right, go be successful. Thanks.